All right, guys, time for another story time. This story time is not going to be that far back in time that this happened. And whether people want to admit it or not, everybody makes a mistake occasionally. Everybody does embarrassing things occasionally. Some people just aren't man enough to admit it. But, sometimes things do happen occasionally. And this is one that happened to me. So just stick with me through the story and we're going to find out what happened at the end. So basically, I'm going to this party. The party is mainly going to be outdoors. There's a lot of land there, bonfire, different things like that. But sometimes sometimes at different points in time, people's going to be indoors. But this is not going to be an indoor party. It is an outdoor party. So basically, I get ready. I go to this party. It's a non-alcoholic party. And there's going to be families. There's going to be a whole variety of people, down to kids even, is going to be there, down to children. So basically all ages, different kinds of people. And I get to the party, and this is when I was still big, though. I was I was over 300 pounds. I was 300 to 340 pounds at the time. So I'm outside, was using chairs that were already there. These were like some of those kind of lawn chairs with the netting that I never really trusted when I was big, and some of those camping type chairs with the cup holders on them. I'm sitting in these different chairs and stuff. All of a sudden, I reached down. I had on an open top Kydex holster. I reached down, and the holster's there, but there's no gun. And I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, there's no gun there. And it was at that time, it was a G27 that I had for that holster. So the first thing, man, I'm like, oh man, no way, because especially what really worried me was because I'm a big dude, 300 to 340 pounds at the time, sitting in these weird, awkward, different kinds of lawn and camping chairs. And I'm like, my gun ain't there. The holster's there, but my gun ain't there. First thing I do is I get up and I take off to my car and I check my car. I go in my car, I'm looking beside the seat, I'm looking down around. I mean, that's after I looked around the chair that I'm sitting in, of course. I go to my car, I'm looking around the seat, the driver's seat, I'm looking on the floor, and I'm looking all over the place. No gun. So now I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. I'm thinking there's a possibility, and at this time I'm thinking a high possibility that I dropped my gun out of my holster. It's now getting dark there. That I'm thinking there's a high probability I dropped my gun out of my holster in one of these chairs on that land where everybody's at. So I'm caught between a rock and a hard place. Because to let everybody know, hey, I dropped my gun somewhere and there's kids and everything around, and some people's going to freak anyway, and how some people are with guns. There was people there that are probably anti-gun, and a lot of people will just tend to freak out, So I have to basically say, hey, my gun's missing. And I'm thinking, what I do, people that know me, my reputation, I'm like, everything's going to be shot after this. I'm like, that's it. I'm like, one mistake and everything's going to be shot. I'm like, this is, for the rest of all time, I'm going to be the guy that lost a gun at a party with all kinds of people and children. That's going to be me. That's going to be my stigma from here on out. But I'm like, hey, I got to do what I got to do. So I go back around, I tell a couple people, hey man, I lost my gun somewhere. I'm looking around. So I got people helping me. Pretty soon other people start looking and seeing what's going on. I've got other people, that are like, hey, what are these people doing? They're seeing people because the people that's helping me look like close friends of mine, and people that's cool that I could tell this to, that I was like, they won't judge me and everything's going to be cool, that I knew had my back. The people that I'm telling this to are intently looking, and it's causing other people to see. So people are starting to wonder what's going on, and I have this guy come over who's a friend of mine, and he was trying to help, but he shouldn't have did this. He comes over, and people's coming to me going, hey, what's going on? And the guy goes, it's your wallet. He turns to the people and goes, he lost his wallet. Right off the bat, I thought that was a bad idea. So now I got two different groups of people. I got people that know that my gun's missing, and have told some other people that my gun's missing. And now I have other groups of people that are told that my wallet's missing. Okay? I'm starting to see now that now some people's, like, the story's kind of spreading in between the groups. And I'm seeing, like, people with their, like, grasping their children and stuff. And I'm like, I'm just like, hey, this is not really anything massive. I said, just let me look around here and see what's going on. My holster's empty, and I don't know what's going on. So I'm looking all over there for this thing, and I'm like, oh man, I'm like, this sucks. I'm like, I'm like, my reputation, everything, I'm like, is going to be just ruined after tonight. So after looking as thoroughly as I could and checking everything out, and in the house, I was in the house for a while, in my car. Pretty much the party's done. I ruined the whole party. I ruined it. There was a lot of people there too, and I ruined the whole party. So after all that's said and done, I'm on my way home. I'm going home. I'm going to go ahead and check at the house. It's not like me to, to take a holster and not have a gun on me. It's just not like me. So I had to clear everything there first, though, just in case. So I get home, rush into my bedroom, and don't you know it, boom, turn on the light. Right there on my bed is the gun. So now it's bittersweet. I'm like, there's the Glock 27 laying there on the bed, and I'm like, woo, 100 times over, and about as happy as you could be. Number one, because I just didn't lose a gun, and, because I was kind of thinking at the party, maybe somebody just picked my gun up. One of these adults picked my gun up and isn't going to tell me, but I really didn't think that was the case. So I got my gun. I'm calling people at the party, or whoever's left there, because like I said, I ruined the party, which most people's gone, and I'm telling them, hey, it was here at home, it's on the bed. So it was bittersweet because I was happy that I found the gun and that no one took it. And then, but yet, after that happens, it still tends to ruin your reputation. Luckily, that part didn't happen. Luckily, that part did not happen. And nobody really, took it further than what it was. And everybody was like, cool, hey, that's good. So basically, there's a couple purposes of me to telling this story. Number one, I think it's a pretty good story time story. And number two is, everybody makes mistakes. I know a guy on YouTube. Now, this is a pretty good mistake here. But I know of a guy on YouTube, and I won't say his name. He doesn't really make too many videos anymore, but he used to make a lot of videos. He was really big. He was a bigger channel back in the day. He was, how was it? He was fully loading his shotgun in the house, and he was in his basement. And he put one in the chamber, and then he did something with the safety, and the pump wouldn't rack, and then he pulled the trigger. He was going to just pull the trigger so that the gun would think that he fired a round so that he could pump the pump again. Forgetting that he already put one in the chamber, he pulled the trigger and fired a round off in his basement of his shotgun. I know another guy that was cleaning a loaded gun with a rag. This is another YouTube guy. Cleaning a loaded gun with a rag, and went into the trigger guard and set a round off. I think it was a Mosin Nagant. But hopefully, guys, you stay away from those kind of accidents. But things happen, accidents happen. Now, let me tell you the reason. I almost forgot this. That I believe that I left the house without the gun, didn't realize it until later at the party, and got all scrambled, because that's not like me. I'm not trying to brag, but that is not like me. I'm a guy that'll wrist bump my keys on my side probably every 10 minutes without even knowing it when I'm out in public, just to check my keys. I'm not a guy. I have spots and certain ways I set things when I get home. I'm showing you this. Even my keys got to be hung up by the door when I get in. When I set my gun on my nightstand, it's positioned a certain way, and my watch is right beside of it. I'm that kind of a guy. So how did I leave the house without a gun in my holster and not realize it until I was at the party? I figured it out. Thinking back and looking at phone records, somebody had called me on the phone when I was getting dressed. While I was talking to someone on the phone, distracted, I finished getting dressed, didn't put the gun in the holster, was walking around the house, giving the dogs food and water, still talking on the phone, grabbed my keys and went out the door with my Glock 27 still laying on my bed. So you see, it's a distraction. Kind of like how you shouldn't text and drive, or, you know, different things like that. You know, like this guy was texting and veered over into my lane. That's why I just beeped at him. This guy veered over to my lane, and as I passed him, I glance over, and he's like this with his phone off to the side. I see this all the time. But anyway, being that I was on a phone call and distracted, my mind wasn't fully there like it would normally be when I'm getting dressed. Maybe some of you are a lot better than me. I don't know. Maybe this could never happen to you. That's why I don't do like some of these guys, oh, danger up a gun and then put it on video. No, because I'm paying attention to the camera, talking to a camera. That is two major distractions. And you wanna act like a tough guy and say, oh, danger it up and load a gun and chamber a round on camera is a very foolish thing to do, in my opinion. You know, you can do what you want, but in my opinion, if you're doing anything that's going to distract you, don't go fooling around and making things, you know, where they could get dangerous. But hey, I just like to be on the safe side, you know. I have put loaded guns on camera, but I will call it out as I'm picking it up and say this gun's hot and show you what I need to show you and put it back in the holster. But you want to always be as safe as you can when you're doing things like that. But that's my story time for today, guys. I got other story times if you'd like to hear them. Let me know what you think. Let me know things that's happened to you before. Did you ever think you lost a gun when there was children around? But if you haven't, then don't ever let that be the case. Anyway, at the end of the day, all was well, ended well. My gun was at home laying on the bed the whole time. All right, guys, until next time, this is DOF. I got some more stuff coming for you, and I am out.